"Don't embarrass us tonight, Emma," my sister whispered, right before her billionaire fiancé stood up and said my name. "Before we go any further, I need to ask you something. Have you ever been the sibling who never quite measured up? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you believe being underestimated can change your life, subscribe, because this one will stay with you. Now let me take you back to how it started. The Brooks family house sat inside a gated neighborhood north of Dallas, the kind with trimmed hedges and security guards who nodded without smiling. Emma Brooks sat in her 10-year-old Honda Civic outside the gate, staring at the code her mother had texted her. She could already hear the music drifting down the street. Laughter. Glasses clinking. Engagement party. Of course it would be big. Olivia Brooks didn't do small. Emma checked herself in the rearview mirror. Simple navy dress. No designer label. Hair pulled back in a low bun she hoped looked effortless instead of rushed. "You're fine," she muttered. But fine had never been enough in that house. Growing up, Olivia was the gold star. Straight A's. Debate captain. Cheer squad. Full scholarship to UT Austin. Now she worked in corporate law and had just gotten engaged to Adrian Cole, founder and CEO of a tech company people in Dallas called The Next Big Thing. Emma? She tried things. Photography. A bakery business that lasted 6 months. Freelance design. She paid her bills. Mostly on time. But in her family, stability wasn't success. Flashy was. She parked along the curb and stepped out. The Texas air was warm, even for early spring. The house glowed with string lights across the backyard. Valet attendants in black polos guided luxury cars into neat lines. Emma handed her keys to a teenager who looked confused by her car. "You're here for the Brooks party?" he asked. "Unfortunately," she smiled. Inside, the house smelled like catered barbecue and expensive perfume. A country pop playlist hummed through built-in speakers. Women in pastel dresses gathered near the kitchen island. Men in blazers laughed near the patio doors. And in the center of it all stood Olivia. White dress. Perfect curls. Diamond ring flashing every time she moved her hand. She saw Emma and smiled, the kind that didn't reach her eyes. "You made it," Olivia said, hugging her lightly. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "It's your engagement," Emma replied. "I wouldn't miss it." Olivia leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Just, don't embarrass us tonight, okay?" There it was. Old script. Same line, different year. Emma felt the words settle in her chest. "Embarrass you how?" she asked softly. Olivia gave a small laugh. "You know what I mean. Just don't overshare about things." Things. Failed attempts. Side hustles. The fact that Emma still rented a 1-bedroom apartment 20 minutes away. "I'll behave," Emma said. Olivia squeezed her arm. "Good." Across the patio, a small group parted. Adrian Cole had arrived. He was taller than Emma expected. Dark suit, no tie. Calm posture. He moved through people easily, shaking hands, listening more than speaking. He didn't look flashy. He looked steady. Their eyes met for half a second. He held the look. Not scanning. Not dismissing. Seeing. Emma looked away first. Why did that feel different? Olivia grabbed Adrian's hand and pulled him into the center of the patio for a toast. Guests gathered. Phones lifted. "My fiancé," Olivia began, smiling wide, "is the hardest working man I know. Built his company from scratch. Forbes just featured him last month." Applause. Adrian's smile stayed polite. "And," Olivia added, glancing at Emma briefly, "he proves that focus and discipline really do pay off." The glance wasn't subtle. A few relatives shifted awkwardly. Emma kept her expression neutral. There it is again, she thought. Comparison dressed as praise. Adrian took the champagne glass from Olivia. "Thank you," he said simply. "But no one builds anything alone." His voice was calm. Not loud. But people listened. He scanned the crowd. For a split second, his gaze found Emma again. Something unreadable passed across his face. The toast ended. Music rose. Conversations restarted. Emma slipped toward the edge of the patio, near the fence lined with white roses. She pulled out her phone, pretending to check a text she hadn't received. She could leave. No one would blame her. But then she heard her name. Not whispered. Spoken clearly. Emma, right? Her heart skipped. She turned. Adrian was walking toward her. Alone. Olivia was still laughing near the bar, unaware. Yeah, Emma said carefully. He stopped in front of her. Up close, his eyes were softer than she expected. I'm glad you came, he said. 3 simple words. But no one in that family had said them to her in years. Why? What did he see? And why did it feel like something was about to shift? But neither of them knew. This was only the beginning of a night that would change every relationship in that backyard. The music dipped lower as if the night itself leaned in. Emma stood near the rose bushes, the Dallas skyline faint in the distance beyond the gated fence. Laughter drifted from the patio. Glasses clinked. Adrian stopped a few feet from her. I'm Adrian, he said, offering his hand. I know, she replied, shaking it. You're kind of the reason we're all here. A small smile touched his mouth. And you're Emma, Olivia's sister. There was no judgment in the way he said it. No tone. Just fact. Guilty, she said lightly. I've heard about you. Her stomach tightened. Oh. He nodded. Creative. Independent. Tried a few ventures. Tried. The word stung even though he hadn't meant it that way. Yes, she said. I try things. That's not a bad thing. It depends who you ask. Their eyes locked again. For a moment, the noise behind them felt far away. You don't seem like someone who quits, he said. Emma blinked. You don't know me. I know what it looks like when someone keeps rebuilding. That surprised her. Before she could respond, Olivia's voice cut through the air. There you are. She walked toward them, heels clicking against the patio stones. A few guests followed her gaze, sensing something. Adrian straightened slightly. Emma felt it too, the shift. We were just talking, Adrian said calmly. Olivia slipped her hand through his arm. About what? Emma's design work, he answered. Olivia let out a soft laugh. Oh, that. She's always experimenting. The word landed heavy. I'm freelancing now, Emma said. Branding. Small businesses mostly. That's cute, Olivia replied. You've always been artsy. Artsy. Like it was a hobby. Not a career. A couple of their cousins pretended to study their drinks. Adrian didn't smile. What kind of clients? He asked Emma directly. She hesitated. Local coffee shops. A non-profit downtown. A food truck that just opened in Deep Ellum. His eyes lit slightly. Deep Ellum's hard to break into. That's impressive. Olivia's fingers tightened around his arm. It's small stuff, she said quickly. Nothing like running a company. Emma felt the heat rise in her chest. I'm not trying to run a tech empire, she replied evenly. No one said you were, Olivia shot back, still smiling. The air thickened. Guests nearby grew quiet without meaning to. I just want you to stop acting like mine doesn't count. Silence again. Real this time. If you've ever stood in front of someone who shaped your childhood and finally said what you've been holding in, you know how much courage that takes. Olivia looked away first. We'll talk later, she said tightly, then turned and walked back toward the house. Adrian exhaled slowly. That was brave, he said. Emma didn't feel brave. She felt exposed. Across the yard, she saw her parents watching now. Whispering. This wasn't just sister tension anymore. It was public. It was shifting. And it wasn't over. The truth has a way of cracking open what people try to keep polished. And once something breaks in front of a crowd, you can't pretend it didn't happen. The party ended early. By 10:30, guests were hugging goodbye under the string lights. Valet drivers jogged to retrieve Teslas and Range Rovers. The warm Dallas night had turned heavy. Inside the house, the air felt tight. Emma stood near the kitchen island, helping stack empty champagne flutes. She wanted to leave quietly. No more scenes. Emma. Living room. Now. Her mother's voice. Not loud. Just firm. Emma wiped her hands on a napkin and walked in. Olivia stood near the fireplace, heels off now, white dress slightly wrinkled. Adrian stood by the doorway, hands folded, watching. Their father leaned against the wall, arms crossed. It felt like being 16 again. "What was that tonight?" her mom asked. Emma blinked. "What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb," Olivia snapped. "You knew what you were doing." "I didn't do anything. You made it about you." Emma let out a breath. "I was standing by the fence. And he just magically walked over?" Olivia shot back. Adrian stepped forward. "I walked over." Olivia turned to him. "Why?" "Because I wanted to talk to her." "In the middle of my engagement party?" The word "my" echoed sharply. "It wasn't a performance," he said calmly. "It felt like one," she replied. Their parents exchanged a look. Her dad cleared his throat. "Adrian, we appreciate what you said about Emma. Truly. But tonight was supposed to celebrate you and Olivia." "It was," Adrian answered. "And it did." "Then why shift the spotlight?" her mom asked. He didn't hesitate. "Because I don't like watching someone be diminished." The room went still. Olivia laughed once. Short. Disbelieving. "So now I diminish people?" "When you compare her like that," he said, "yes." Emma felt heat rush to her face. "Stop," she said quietly. "This isn't helping." Olivia turned on her. "You love this, don't you?" "What?" "Finally being validated. Finally being the interesting one." Emma stared at her sister. "You think I were?" Adrian looked between them. Something in his expression changed, like he was seeing a pattern. Olivia raised her champagne glass again. "Actually, since everyone's gathered." "Oh no." Emma's pulse jumped. Olivia stepped slightly forward, pulling attention back to herself. "I just want to say how proud I am of Adrian. He represents what hard work really looks like. Discipline. Vision. Not distractions." Her eyes flicked toward Emma again. A few uncomfortable laughs floated through the group. Emma's throat went dry. There it was. In front of everyone. Failure, dressed in lace and diamonds. Adrian slowly removed his arm from Olivia's grip. The movement was subtle, but it didn't go unnoticed. He stepped forward. And then he turned fully toward Emma. The crowd followed his gaze. "Emma," he said clearly, voice steady enough to quiet the patio, "would you mind coming up here for a second?" A ripple moved through the guests. Olivia froze. "Adrian, what are you?" But he was already walking toward Emma. Every step felt loud. Emma's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Why?" she whispered when he reached her. "Because," he said softly, "someone should introduce you properly." He extended his hand again. Not polite. Intentional. In that moment, if you've ever waited your whole life to be acknowledged, you know how heavy that silence feels before everything changes. Adrian turned back toward the crowd, Emma beside him now. "This," he said calmly, "is the most interesting entrepreneur I've met tonight." Murmurs spread. Olivia's smile cracked. Her branding work. Adrian continued. "It caught my attention months ago. I didn't realize she was your sister until tonight." Emma stared at him. "Months ago? You saw my work," she whispered. He nodded slightly. "The Deep Ellum Project. I reached out through my team. You turned down the meeting." Her breath stopped. She remembered that email. From a corporate domain she assumed was spam. Olivia's face went pale. "You what?" she said. Adrian kept his voice even. "I admire people who build without safety nets." The words hung in the Texas night air. The same guests who laughed moments ago now looked uncertain. Power had shifted, quietly, but completely. Emma felt exposed. Not small. Seen. But attention is fragile. And pride doesn't disappear easily. Olivia stepped forward, smile returning too quickly. "Well," she said lightly, "looks like we're all full of surprises tonight." Her tone was smooth. Controlled. But her eyes weren't. And Emma realized something in that moment. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about cracks forming where no one expected them. And when the music started again, louder than before, it didn't drown out the tension. It amplified it. Because respect had just changed hands. And someone was about to lose control of the narrative. The party never fully recovered. Music played. Drinks flowed. Laughter tried to return. But something had shifted in that backyard in North Dallas. People watched differently now. Emma stood near the patio railing, heart still racing. The string lights above her flickered in the warm Texas night. Somewhere inside, a blender roared to life for margaritas. "You okay?" She turned. Adrian stood beside her again, hands in his pockets this time. No spotlight. No crowd. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "Yes, I did." His tone was simple. Certain. Olivia's voice drifted from across the yard, high and polished as she entertained a group near the bar. She hadn't looked Emma's way again. "You blindsided her," Emma added. "I told the truth." "That's not always the same thing." He studied her face carefully. "Are you embarrassed?" he asked. The question caught her off guard. "No," she said honestly. "Just confused." "About what?" "Why you care." He leaned against the railing beside her. The smell of grilled brisket and summer grass hung in the air. "Because I recognize hustle when I see it," he said. "And because you didn't shrink when she tried to make you." Her throat tightened. "You don't know our history." "Then tell me." She hesitated. Across the yard, she could see their parents. Her mom laughing too loudly. Her dad nodding proudly as someone mentioned Adrian's latest funding round. She looked back at him. "She's always been the headline," Emma said quietly. "Valedictorian. Law school. Engagement announcements in the Dallas Morning News. And you." "I was the footnote." He didn't interrupt. "I wasn't bad," she continued. "Just different. I liked creating things. Starting things. Sometimes they failed. That became the family joke." Her voice stayed calm, but her fingers gripped the railing. "Failure sticks," she added. "Even when you're still trying." A long silence followed. Wind moved softly through the yard. The hum of conversation faded into background noise. Adrian looked down at his hands. "I grew up in Tulsa," he said. "Single mom. 2 jobs. We moved 3 times before I was 14. She glanced at him, surprised. "No country club?" she asked lightly. He smiled faintly. "No gated neighborhoods." "Olivia talks like you've always had this life." "She likes clean stories." "And yours isn't." He shook his head. "I failed my first company at 24. Lost everything. Lived on a friend's couch for a year." Emma blinked. She never mentioned that. Most people don't. Their eyes met again. For a moment, they weren't CEO and sister of the bride. They were just 2 people who knew what it felt like to fall short. Footsteps approached. Olivia. She stopped a few feet away, arms crossed but smile still in place. "Can I borrow my fiancé?" she asked, voice sweet. Emma stepped back immediately. "Of course." But Adrian didn't move. "We're just talking," he said. "I can see that." The edge beneath her tone was sharper now. Guests nearby pretended not to notice. Olivia looked at Emma. "You've made quite an impression tonight." Emma swallowed. "That wasn't my goal." "It rarely is," Olivia replied. There it was again, that quiet cut. Adrian finally turned toward Olivia. "You don't have to do that." "Do what?" "Reduce her." The word hung heavy. Olivia's jaw tightened. "I'm not reducing anyone." "It sounds like you are." A long pause. The music inside the house stopped abruptly. Someone must have changed the playlist. The sudden quiet stretched across the yard. No one spoke. For several seconds, there was only the sound of wind brushing the trees, distant traffic on the highway, and the faint buzz of patio lights. Emma looked at her sister. Olivia's shoulders were stiff. Perfect posture. Perfect smile slowly fading. A lifetime of competition sat between them without words. Emma felt the weight of it, every comparison, Every sideways comment at Thanksgiving, every why can't you be more like. She took a breath. I'm not trying to take anything from you, she said softly. Olivia's eyes flickered. You wouldn't know how, she replied. The words hit hard. Adrian stepped forward, but Emma gently touched his arm. It was her turn. I don't want your life, Emma said. Into that, she asked. I wanted you to stop treating me like a warning story. The words landed hard. Their mother stepped in. Girls, please. No, Olivia said, eyes glossy now. She's always been jealous. Emma felt something crack inside her. Jealous, she repeated softly. Of what? The pressure? The way you panic if one thing isn't perfect. Olivia's face fell for a split second, then hardened again. You don't understand responsibility. And you don't understand freedom, Emma shot back. Adrian watched them carefully, seeing more than either sister wanted to show. This isn't about business, he said. It's about respect. Olivia turned toward him slowly. Whose side are you on? The question hung in the air like smoke. He didn't answer right away. And that silence said everything. Olivia's voice dropped. If you're questioning me now, in front of my family, what does that say? It says I'm being honest. No, she replied, shaking her head. It says you're distracted. Emma stepped back. I'm leaving, she said. This isn't worth blowing up your engagement. Olivia's eyes flashed. Maybe it already is. The words hit harder than she meant them to. Even she looked surprised after saying them. Emma grabbed her purse from the hallway table. Adrian followed her onto the front porch. The night air felt cooler now. Crickets chirped from the manicured lawns. Down the street, sprinklers clicked on in perfect rhythm. You shouldn't have to walk away, he said. She gave a small, tired smile. I've been walking away my whole life. I'm good at it. I don't want you to. Her chest tightened. That's the problem, she whispered. You're engaged. The word felt final. He looked back toward the house. Through the window, Olivia stood alone near the fireplace, staring at the floor. Everything was cracking. Nothing's decided yet, he said. But something is, Emma replied. Headlights flashed as a car drove past the quiet suburban street. Go back inside, she told him gently. She's your fiancé. For a moment, he didn't move. Then slowly, he stepped back toward the door. Emma walked down the driveway toward her car. Halfway there, she heard the front door open again. Not footsteps this time. Raised voices. Sharp. Heated. And then, the unmistakable sound of something shattering. Glass. She froze. Whatever was happening inside that house. There was no going back to normal now. Emma stood beside her car, keys in her hand, heart pounding. The sound of glass breaking still echoed in her ears. The front door flew open. Adrian stepped out. Not calm this time. Not polished. Just real. Behind him, voices carried through the house. Her mother crying. Her father speaking low. Olivia's tone sharp, then breaking. Emma swallowed. What happened? He walked down the driveway toward her. We ended it. The words felt too big for the quiet street. You what? I won't marry someone who sees people as competition, he said. Especially not her own sister. Emma's breath caught. Adrian. I didn't end it because of you, he added quickly. I ended it because tonight showed me something I can't ignore. Porch lights glowed along the street. A dog barked 2 houses down. Everything looked normal. Nothing was. This is my fault, Emma whispered. No, he said firmly. This was already there. We just stopped pretending. She looked past him at the house she grew up in. The windows were lit, shadows moving inside. Olivia. Her sister. The girl who shared her bedroom for 15 years. The one who used to braid her hair before middle school. The one who turned into someone Emma didn't recognize. You loved her, Emma said. I cared about her, he replied. But love doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. Silence settled between them. The Texas air felt softer now, like a storm had passed. What happens now? She asked. He gave a small, honest shrug. Now I sit with the consequences. She studied his face. There was no regret there. Only clarity. You can't just trade one sister for another, she said quietly. His eyes met hers. Steady. I'm not trading anyone, he said. I'm choosing integrity. The word felt heavy. And you? He asked gently. What are you choosing? She looked down at her old Honda Civic. At the chipped paint near the door handle. At the house behind her filled with history and hurt. I'm choosing not to be the failure anymore, she said. You never were. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. A few minutes later, the front door opened again. Olivia stepped out. Barefoot. Makeup smudged. Engagement ring still on her hand. She looked smaller somehow. Not polished. Not perfect. Just human. Emma's chest tightened. I didn't know, Olivia said quietly. Know what? Emma asked. That I was doing that. To you. The admission hung in the air. You've always been fearless, Olivia continued. Trying things. Starting over. I thought if I kept pointing out your failures, it would push you to be more like me. Emma gave a sad smile. I never wanted to be like you. Olivia let out a broken laugh. I know that now. A long pause followed. Cars passed at the end of the street. Sprinklers kept clicking. I'm sorry, Olivia said. 2 words Emma had waited years to hear. They didn't fix everything. But they mattered. Emma stepped forward and hugged her sister. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't perfect. It was real. When they pulled apart, Olivia looked at Adrian. You should go, she said softly. If you're staying, don't stay because of guilt. He nodded once. I won't. Olivia slipped the engagement ring off slowly. She looked at it for a moment, then walked back inside without another word. The door closed gently this time. No shouting. No glass breaking. Just quiet. Emma turned to Adrian. You didn't have to choose tonight, she said. Yes, I did, he replied. For me. For myself. That answer meant more than any grand speech. Weeks later, Emma stood at a small networking event in downtown Dallas. Exposed brick walls. Local founders. Indie music playing through cheap speakers. Her latest branding project was projected on the wall behind her. People were asking questions. Interested. Adrian stood near the back. Not leading. Not announcing himself. Just watching. When she finished speaking, applause filled the room. She stepped down from the small stage. You good? He asked with a familiar smile. She laughed softly. Yeah, I am. No comparison. No competition. Just 2 people choosing honesty over image. Outside, the Dallas skyline shimmered against the night sky. Some stories end with a wedding. Some begin when the wrong one falls apart. And sometimes, being called a failure is the moment everything finally starts to build. Do you believe some people are worth the wait? Drop a heart in the comments if this story hit you. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.